Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Kelsey Franklin with Aberdeen Group, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar, Get Your Collaboration Systems Ready to Meet the Demands of Modern Users. The webinar today is hosted by Aberdeen Group and sponsored by NWN. Our presenters are Jim Raposa, Senior Research Analyst of Information Technology at Aberdeen Group, and Greg Sire, Business Development Manager of Cloud and Hosted Solutions at NWN. If you'd like to read their full bios, please use the drop-down arrow below their photos on the left of your screen. We have about 45 minutes of content prepared today, followed by a 15-minute Q&A session. I encourage you all to submit your questions throughout the webinar using the Q&A field on the top left of your screen, and our speakers will try to address as many of your questions as possible at the end. To the right of our screen is your resource list. There you'll find today's presentation deck as well as some additional data sheets and content about today's webinar. You'll also see our Twitter widget on the right where you can live tweet the event with the hashtag #ITABG. And I encourage you all to take our 3-question survey at the end of the presentation to let us know how we're doing. And now I'm going to turn it over to Jim to start the presentation.
Thanks, Kelsey. Yeah, I'm Jim Raposa, Senior Research Analyst with the Aberdeen Group. And what we're here today to talk about is how emerging trends and technologies are changing how people collaborate, how they communicate, and how businesses get things done. All of this is changing the way organizations should plan for, implement, and manage their collaboration and unified communication systems. I'll go quickly over the agenda here. We're going to look at how leading organizations leverage mobile, cloud, and improved analytics in order to build a top-performing collaboration platform. We'll analyze the benefits that these businesses get by ensuring that their collaboration system is customized and personalized to meet their business needs. And we'll look at how communication systems should be integrated with other technologies in order to build this sort of comprehensive tool set for collaboration. We're going to keep this webinar today kind of interactive. Myself and Greg will be chatting back and forth. If you hear that, if you get a little confused by who's talking, I'm Jim, and when you hear Greg, that'll be his voice. Quick note about the Aberdeen Group, for those of you who don't know us. We build our research by talking to companies, by talking to end users and their organizations and how they use technology. We look at the results they get from implementing technologies like collaboration, unified communication. And we figure out who's good, who's the leaders. We have a definition, which you'll see later in this presentation, called the best in class. That is the top 20%. In this case, the businesses that are in the top 20% at successfully using collaboration and unified communications. And once we've identified those businesses, we can see what they do. We can identify the key characteristics, capabilities, strategies that they follow, and be able to make recommendations and offer key steps to take based on what these leading businesses do and how you can become a leader or a best-in-class type of business. So with that over, let's talk about collaboration and the rapid transformation that's been happening there. As I was putting this together, it's kind of interesting. A few years back, I was working for a major technology publisher, and I wrote a big cover story for a technology magazine looking at the gotchas and problems in implementing unified communications and collaboration. We talked about how to avoid these kind of problems. And I looked back while I was doing this and read that cover story, and it was interesting in the things that stood out. One that was kind of interesting was how the focus in that older piece was. The technology just seemed off. All the focus from businesses was strictly on moving voice to IP, getting off of your POTS system, tying voice to email and other collaboration systems of the day, which at that point was mainly SharePoint and wikis and other like old school Enterprise 2.0 enterprise social networking type of thing. So that was kind of interesting to look back at that because it's only about 4 years old. The other key point that I got from looking at that was the big problem that businesses at that time are having with the complexity and cost of implementing UC and collaboration, and how big a disaster it was if they did it wrong initially, if they didn't have the right planning, didn't have the right understanding. So looking back at that, it's interesting because clearly the technology focus has changed a lot, and we'll talk about that in this webinar. But while technologies like cloud and mobile and improved UC offerings have greatly reduced the complexity and cost of doing unified communications and collaboration, many businesses, many organizations still think of it in that old school mode. They really think of that this is a hard, complex, very costly thing to do. And we're going to talk about how a lot of that has changed. And that's good. You know, a lot of businesses who, if they haven't done it already or they're in the process, they realize they really need to upgrade their collaboration systems. In this slide here, we had asked the businesses why they're updating their collaboration, why they're updating their unified communication systems. And these by far were the two top choices. 75% of businesses said they can't measure the ROI. They don't really understand if they're getting the return on their investment, if they're getting what they plan to get out of their collaboration system. They just don't know how to do that. The second top one was that their collaboration UC system isn't keeping up with modern technology. Again, this is going to be a key theme we see throughout this, that if you were building collaboration based on old school methods, you're totally unprepared for the modern, mobile, interactive, transparent world that collaboration has to follow today. So that was kind of an interesting aspect of seeing how businesses are maybe not not getting the most out of their current collaboration systems and why they feel the need to upgrade them to get more out of their collaboration. So to follow up on that, we asked businesses, what were their top goals? If they are updating, if they are working to improve their collaboration system, what are they trying to get out of it? Well, number one is kind of an obvious 64%. So they want to improve collaboration across the organization, just as you'd expect businesses to say when upgrading their collaboration. But the following top goals were kind of interesting because these definitely play into a lot of what you hear from businesses when you talk to them about collaboration, about UC. So they want to reduce communications costs, and this goes beyond a lot of the traditional, like, oh, well, my old POTS, my old telecom, my old voice system was very, very expensive, and it probably is or was. But obviously that's a huge goal for moving to a unified communication, to a collaboration system, and that in an IP-based world you can have all of these different interaction points at what should be eventually a lower cost point than you would in a traditional system. They should be, they want to improve efficiency. Again, obviously that's a key point of collaboration, making sure everybody is working together, that meetings are more effective, that teams are more effective, that projects get done right, and that there's proper workflows and understandings there, that everybody has easy access to information, that people aren't like making mistakes, repeat mistakes, or can't get access to the people they need to find the information that they need. Number 4 was increased employee productivity. Again, and you'll see this is a key point. It seems kind of nebulous, but it actually is something that can definitely be measured. And that is the end goal of most collaboration, is to get your employees, to get you and your partners, to get everybody who's connected by that collaboration system to be more productive, to not be wasting time, to be able to do the things they need to do as efficiently as possible. And the last of these, and again, these questions were out of many, so this isn't like 5 was the least important. It was the top 5. But supporting the needs of the mobile workforce, I think, honestly, if I was answering this, I would have that much higher. As we'll see, mobile is not an aspect of collaboration. It is the key aspect of collaboration. But I'll talk about that a little bit more. While looking at this, Greg, I know you and I had talked a little bit about why some of the businesses you talk to, why some of your customers are looking to boost their collaboration, boost their communication systems. I'm wondering if you had anything to add to this from what you've seen talking to your customers.
I agree with your comments around mobility. I mean, that's one of the key factors when we start talking about their communications, their collaboration strategies. They want to be able to give access to the collaboration tools from any device, any place, anywhere. Now, I agree that I would think that percentage is a lot higher than 19%. But these definitely do fit into all the categories when we talk to our clients, and it's really both from collaboration, but also why they're looking at cloud collaboration as well.
No, I agree. I think it is sort of like the nature of, in any IT project, you get into sort of this mindset of like, oh, what is my goal? is be more collaborative, and you think of everything sort of like down the line. Okay, do this, be mobile. But I think as businesses implement it, and we'll see this throughout this presentation, they realize that mobile is one of, if not the primary endpoint. And talk about that a little bit more. This is kind of interesting, in that same area talking about, this kind of goes to the point that Greg and I were just talking about, the focus. When we asked businesses, and looked at what they were implementing as part of their UC collaboration, I mean, this is a very obvious, I think if you talk to 100 companies, 99 of them would probably have this list very, very similar. And obviously these are the core capabilities. You want to have voice, whether that's soft phones, IP-enabled phones, something that ties into your mobile phone. Obviously voice is still, and I think it's actually increasing in importance. People have kind of been talking a little bit about voice going, lessening in importance. I still think it's extremely important. Same with email. People, you always hear these stories about certain businesses saying, "Oh, we're getting rid of email and everything is being done through some kind of social collaboration." Everything's a tool, and just because you can hammer nails with a sturdy screwdriver doesn't mean you should not have a hammer. Same thing with email. Just because you can do communications with, IM or social messaging doesn't mean email is not the best tool for that job. Quickly going through this, web conferencing, video conferencing, IM, mobile down here at 45%, internal social. One of the bigger sticking points I find in collaboration, if it's not done right, it's something that tends to not get used at all, and we'll talk about how this can be done right, and telepresence, which is sort of your traditional idea of conferencing. But the point I want to make when I look at this, and again, getting back to Greg and I's point about the importance of mobile, I could go back through this list and add mobile to everything, and I think it would actually make more sense. So you say voice, that's also enabled over mobile. Email, that can be accessed over mobile. Web conferencing, that works well and seamlessly over mobile. Video conferencing, this is extremely important. Now, I find a lot of businesses finding that delivering video over mobile has become a primary goal for them in collaboration in UC. Obviously, IM. If you look at something like Facebook, for example, their messaging actually probably works better in a mobile environment than it does on the regular browser. So you could easily take this slide and add mobile to everything in it, and it would make a lot of sense in the way things are changing, the way collaboration is changing for today. And again, this is an overall, we're talking about overall mobile. It's the number one IT pressure for businesses. 71% of organizations say that everything has to be mobile. The whole idea that we're moving to a mobile-first world, I believe, is incorrect. We are in a mobile-first world, and this is especially true in collaboration. As I said, we see a lot of data on the importance of mobile video conferencing, and the way it's used is kind of interesting. You'll see businesses using mobile video for support. So if you're trying to fix something in a remote office or something, you can use your mobile device to show a video to the person in the central office, and they can kind of walk you through fixing things. You're seeing video becoming, sort of replacing voice. People have gotten used to using, FaceTime and things like that in their personal. They're a lot more comfortable using that in a business environment as well. And Greg and I know we were talking earlier when we were getting ready for this presentation, and you talked a lot about that ability to seamlessly move around in your collaboration environment through your mobile, where you can be on a call at your office, have to leave, press a button, move the call to your mobile without any lost time, without basically seamlessly maintaining your conversation, maintaining your collaboration as you walk to the train and head home and whatnot. I think the more businesses implement these capabilities and understand what they can get out of mobile in a collaboration environment, the more they're realizing that it is a primary, that this is, when you're talking collaboration, you see mobile should be right up there in the title. And I don't know if you have anything to add there, Greg. I know that we had a big conversation about that as well. And there's some other points too, I think, about what Google likes to call contextualization, where your things understand where you are at a certain point too, where you understand, okay, I'm at work, I'm in the office, I'm traveling. You have a different sort of environment in each case. Did you have anything else you want to add there, Greg? Or
No, I agree. I think I use mobility a lot, and I think that's maybe why back at some of the other, research, mobility was so low, is that people just think of it, simply like you were talking about before, the ability to be able to call my desk to my cell phone, go grab a cup of coffee, come back, and have the same experience, and the people on the phone have no idea. But also, as you said before, mobility kind of goes across all of those different aspects. And mobility is even the ability to have a remote call center agent at home, working
right.
from their home phone, still having the same appearance that they're in that call center, but then also be able to add something like video to it or video chat, so you can actually have that true interaction with your clients or even other partners as well.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, my colleague who covers field service, we talk a lot about that ability for, you send a serviceman out into the field, he's out working on a piece of machinery or something, and he has that ability to just grab his tablet, grab his mobile device, bring up a video and have someone in the home office help him, like, okay, yeah, you need to fix, I can see where you're having the problem, turn that knob, 3 turns to the left type of thing, and that it seems so simple, but that would have been a huge deal just a few years ago. It's really transforming the way businesses collaborate in a bunch of different ways. Moving on to the next slide, so here's that point I talked earlier about the best in class, the businesses that we define as the top 20% in collaboration in UC, the ones that do the best at implementing this. And so how do they get there? What are some of the things they're doing to become that top 20%? So what we see, and again, these were out of a long list, so the bottom isn't the number 6 choice. But the first 2 are kind of interesting. I almost think the second one is a typical thing that you get out of collaboration, and providing remote employees with capabilities equal to headquarters or office-based employees. Again, I add mobile to this because it's not just a remote worker sitting in his home office or a remote worker in a hotel room with his full laptop setup. It is that remote worker who's in the field, on the train, at a Starbucks, in a mobile remote environment. They need to have all the capabilities. They need to be able to connect with everybody they need to connect with. They need to be, from point 1 here, empower employees with the ability to determine and contact the right individuals. They need to have all those kind of knowledge management, expert capabilities to know who's there, to say, okay, I can tell that Jane is in the office. She knows the most about, widgets. She, and her and I can get on a video chat right now, and I can get the information I need to do my job. Those 2 kind of very tightly tied together, and they are sort of classic, what you think of as the classic goals of collaboration. The other 4 top choices, strategies here, I think these are really important, and something that gets overlooked by businesses that I find don't do UC, don't do collaboration right, is understanding the integration aspect. We see integrating communication collaboration capabilities with enterprise applications. To me, this is probably one of the most vital aspects, especially when you get into outside of just strict sort of like voice, video chat type things, and into those sort of more true social networking, true collaboration capabilities. They need to work where people live. Every time you ask a worker to step out of the apps that they spend the most time in order to collaborate, they aren't going to collaborate. So you have to have your collaboration systems really tightly tied in your enterprise applications. So, somebody who's trying to make a sale can easily click over and collaborate with somebody who's going to help them make that sale. Somebody who's trying to provide support to a customer can easily collaborate with somebody who's going to have the information that will enable them to provide better support. Somebody who's trying to get the right marketing information to a client can, get in touch with everybody they need to build the right marketing materials to get to that person. All these things rely on good integration of your collaboration. So I think this kind of plays with both that, the third option, the number 6, integrate enterprise social collaboration tools with your communications platforms. You see so many, you've probably been to many businesses that have a thing, a Twitter-like, status type tool. I won't name names because I don't want anyone to get mad at me, and they're kind of a desert. Nobody uses them. But when you see businesses where those work, it is when they're tightly integrated with everything else, where you don't go somewhere to update your status. It's just part of your daily business work. We've talked a lot about mobile. I'm not going to really talk about that more. It should be the key thing. The point here about moving to a cloud-based environment, I think this is key in addressing that whole earlier fear of complexity and cost. I mean, what we've seen as you've gotten more opportunities to use these systems in the cloud, to deploy cloud-based systems, is a lot of that cost and complexity go away. You don't have to worry about, do I have the right platforms, do I have the right data center strength, do I have the right network capabilities to enable real-time communications in my company. By using a cloud-based solution, all that comes with the package, and it enables you to stay constantly up to date, which is another one of the problems with old school approaches, in that if you're not constantly updating your collaboration UC system, it's falling behind the time. It's not ready to enable mobile capabilities. You don't get mobile video. You don't get these sort of seamless mobile presence things like Greg talked about. But in a cloud-based environment, you do. So we're seeing here like the type of things that you do to become successful in collaboration really come down to reducing complexity and boosting integration. Now here we're going to compare how the best in class, like I said, the top 20%, how they track and manage their collaboration compared to who we define as the laggards, which are the bottom 30%. So the bottom 30% in successfully doing collaboration and communication. The number one, by far, more than twice as likely, almost 2.5 times likely, the best in class is to actually measure and define the quality of communications. And we're going to get more into that in the next slide. Because I do believe that this is one of the most key aspects, one of the key failings when collaboration isn't done right. But I'm going to go into some of these other points before I get into that, because that is the next slide. But you see line of business input into communications. I'm going to tie this into the next one too, UC initiative sponsored by senior executive team. You need to be talking to the users when you're doing UC. I've seen so many poor collaboration done because they didn't talk to the lines of business that are going to be using the tools. You need to be talking to them so you're implementing it in the way that they will use it, in the way they'll provide the most value and give them the most productivity. And you need the senior executive team to be fully behind the project, because that's how collaboration works. If you have to deal with management through the collaboration systems that they're seen to be using it and championing it, that's going to be a big boost in getting collaboration done right. I'm going to tie this next point to the next slide, but it's key, measuring employee satisfaction. Again, the best in class is more than twice as likely to do that. Able to measure productivity, able to understand the business value. All these get down to what I think is the key failing in improperly done collaboration. If I ask you, are you getting what you thought you would get out of your collaboration system, and you say, I don't know, then you're probably failing at your collaboration system. The key thing is to be able to know if it's working the way you expect it to. So how do the best in class measure success? How do they understand that, yes, we are getting what we expect out of our collaboration system? And by far, the number one way they do that is end user satisfaction. You hear a lot of people talk about the application economy, and I totally agree with that applications have become the most important thing in everything you do in IT. You put in better networks, you put in better servers, you implement cloud, you implement better hardware, because it's all about deploying the right applications. But I think it goes beyond that. It's all about deploying the right applications that will keep your end users happy and productive and doing their jobs. So I think really that this is a key point, that knowing how end users are experiencing your collaboration system and that they are satisfied with it is key to successfully doing it. That's how UC systems fail. If end users don't use them, if they go around them, if they just stick to the ways they've always done business, then that's a failure in collaboration. They look, the best in class, again, they look to expand collaboration throughout the enterprise. So it's not something that just sales does, or just service and support does, or just marketing does. All businesses, all business units, everybody in the company is tied together more tightly through that collaboration system. Again, they understand how collaboration improves employee productivity. They understand, no duh, where they're getting cost savings, and they understand how it's improving remote workers and tying them, whether they're home-based or road warriors, tying them in so they experience work exactly as someone in the home office would. Now, we were talking about, I mentioned how user satisfaction is key to doing collaboration right. So we look at this list here. These are the benefits that the best-in-class are getting. So this is why they're the best-in-class. This is why they successfully build collaborations and unified communication systems. They, as we saw in the previous slides, they know how to measure success. They are looking at these things, and they are getting the benefit that they expect. So we see that 55% of the best-in-class saw a significant improvement in end-user satisfaction compared to all other businesses that saw no significant improvement, and only 24% that saw a minor improvement. So clearly, their end users appreciate the collaboration system. They're using it. They're getting a lot out of it, and they're not grumbling about it in the coffee room. We see 44% of the best-in-class saw an improvement in employee productivity compared to only 9% of all others. So again, the collaboration system doing what you expect it to. It's helping users get information. It's helping teams work together. It's helping projects move more smoothly, and it's tying together all the different business units. So knowledge and information and capabilities are more effectively shared. You see 45% of the best-in-class saw an improvement in remote worker productivity. They are getting all these capabilities out to their remote workers and giving them the same environment as they would have as if they were working in the office. They're tightly tied to their teams and their coworkers. And this last point is also key, that 45% of the best-in-class saw improved time to information compared to only 4% of all others. So 10%, a 10 times better implementation of collaboration as far as getting information that you need, which is basically the main goal of almost any business system, is getting the right information in the right hands so people can do their job. They can make a sale, they can entice a client, they can provide support, whatever their main job is. By effectively building the right kind of collaboration system, they are getting the right information into the right hands. So how can you be a best-in-class business? How can you join these leaders, get out of sort of average or even laggard kind of status? So looking at some of the things we've learned by looking at the best-in-class and looking at these leaders and just looking at businesses that are successful at doing collaboration is understanding what successful is. As I said, if I ask you, is your collaboration system working, before you even implement it, you need to know what those metrics are going to be, and you need to keep updating them as you do it. Are you trying to boost collaboration? Do you want to reduce travel? Are you trying to improve access to your experts, to the right information? You need all that. You need to know what your successful metrics will be so you can track and understand if you are getting the most out of your collaboration system. This next one is really key. Understand your unique needs and build a solution customized to meet them. There are a lot of sort of off-the-shelf cookie-cutter UC implementations out there, and I guess for some businesses that's perfectly fine. But in my experience, any kind of real business needs to make sure that their unified communication, that their collaboration system is customized to meet their own need, and that they're getting the right kind of ongoing service that lets them continue to grow that as technology changes and as their needs change. We talked about the importance of integrating collaboration with your other key business applications. Like I said, if people have to leave where they work to go do collaboration, they aren't going to collaborate. It needs to be tightly tied with all their other business environment. Key point, focus on employee training and satisfaction. Like I said, if the users aren't happy, they won't use it. Step number one you need to make sure that users are happy with what they're getting and that they're going to use the collaboration system. And last one, kind of a duh, but don't forget the remote worker. I'd say don't forget the remote mobile worker. As we said, mobile is key. Your collaboration systems need to be seamless. They need to almost be better for the mobile worker. I'm not sure everyone would agree with that, but they need to be definitely as good for the mobile worker because we are in the mobile-first world, and that is where a lot of your collaboration and communication is going to happen. And Greg, before I pass this on, I don't know if was there any feedback you have on this? Do you hear any other typical recommendations you give your customers when you're talking to them, or any other bits of advice you tend to give it in this area?
No, I think it all comes down to planning. What I see a lot of people fail at when they're deploying a UC environment is not talking to the end users and not really understanding what they want, not only from kind of a visual aspect, user interface type of thing, but also how do you map the certain technologies and solutions to what their needs are, and having really a good business and IT conversation around that.
Great. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to pass the baton over to Greg and let him continue the presentation. And thanks for listening to my part. Greg, it's all yours.
Well, thanks, Jim. I'm Greg Sire. I'm part of the NWN's nCloud team. So I'm really a business development manager for our hosted collaboration practice and a few other pieces of NWN. I really just want to kind of give you, kind of solidify some of the things that Jim said, but really kind of go into some of the technologies that we use with our clients to do this, but also talk about some real life struggles that we see with our clients. And I think the biggest thing is to understand what collaboration is. And the way we define it, and kind of the way Cisco defines it as well, is the act of people working together to reach a common goal. So what does that mean? Really the common denominator around that is centered around collaboration, but it's also people. It's the act of people working together. And collaboration can't happen without people. So the first piece is the people, and how do you get them to interact? How do you get them to collaborate seamlessly and then work together? So we often ask our clients, and I'd like to ask you guys as well, how do you find collaboration? It's like cloud. People have a different meaning and a different version, a different term for it depending on who you are and where you are in a business and what type of business you have. But also, who's involved in collaboration activities in your organization. And I could say from an NWN perspective, we use all the technologies we're going to talk about today, and everybody is part of that collaborative, part of those collaborative activities, whether it's from the business development side to our people in inside sales to the marketing people. I interact with every group almost on a daily basis, and then finance and HR as well, maybe on a weekly or monthly basis. So it's really trying to get people to work together seamlessly. But also what we've seen is work is changing. So the way people work is a lot different than it was 5 or 10 years ago. There used to be, I remember when I was living in Boston working for some larger companies, you'd focus on maybe 1 or 2 large projects within a year. There's larger teams. They'd last over a period of time. There's a rigid hierarchy for that. People were all in one place typically. You'd have 1 or 2 buildings in Boston that people would work. But also the infrastructure was designed for that. And that infrastructure really does not meet today's requirements. Today people are asked to do more with less, or get done, really do much more than they were before. I know that, a 40-hour day for me is a thing of the past. It's, or a 40-hour week. It's now more a 60 or 80. But also, by using collaboration applications, maybe you can cut down that time. Maybe I can cut 5 or 10 hours a week off my schedule by using those applications. You still have some large projects, but a lot of people are focused on a lot smaller projects. And really, typically, there's smaller teams working together. And they typically, may last for a shorter time period. So they're not these, year-long projects or a couple of weeks or a couple of months at a time. There's typically multiple initiatives that are going on simultaneously within that project or within an individual. And they frequently use collaboration tools. And they may be disjointed. Somebody might use a Skype. Somebody might use a Jabber. Somebody might use a WebEx. And we see that a lot today, but especially when you're working with other partners, employees, and customers. So there's necessarily not a single tool that everyone uses. And a key to our offering is to maybe take those different technologies and still have them work together as a seamless system. What we also see is the work is changing because everyday work has changed over the past few years. People are now expecting to be able to work from home, from a coffee shop, from work, no matter where it is. And people really don't want to think of how I do it. They just want to know, what do I want to do? Not what technology I want to do. Is I have everything in front of me. I have all the devices and tools for me to do that. And a lot of times you see, people want separate content on separate devices in a different format. So the goal is to take all of those collaboration tools and really give it to you anywhere, anytime, any device access. And really, technology no longer dictates how we communicate collaborate or do our jobs. If we can give the right tools to those people, they shouldn't really have to think of how they're going to do it, just what am I going to do? It's automatic to them. And then we also see in a lot of organizations, their challenges are really, how do you give a common user experience? A lot of companies struggle with that. There is no common experience. It's a siloed application. Everybody may have a different way of working, whether it's a phone or a video system, or some people may need use to your mobile. So everybody has unique requirements, but prior, in the past, we see a lot of clients is they don't give all those options to people. This one person is going to be a phone worker. The next person is going to be a mobile worker. The next person might be a web conferencing user. So how do we give those tools to everybody on demand? And we'll talk about that a little bit more when we review NWN's offering. But it's also collaborating across the business, right? So we want to be able to give the choice of devices to our end users that support their needs, whether it's a mobile worker or an information worker, an executive, a deskless worker like Jim talked about earlier, so having video or having chat out to a mobile user, but also contact center users. But giving them a device that they need or devices that they need to fit their job function, but also collaborate beyond a business's walls. So being able to interact with customers or partners or suppliers seamlessly, and giving the right experience to every user so they don't get frustrated and they use the tools that they want. So when we talk to our clients, is we offer, what about a new approach to collaboration? What about looking at it a little bit differently? What about expanding beyond the desktop? So being able to give a visual collaboration experience throughout your organization on any device, no matter where they are. But collaborate without boundaries. Enable connections to external partners, consultants, clients, customers, but it doesn't have to be within your four walls. But also at the same time, when we start talking about cloud, a lot of people worry about security and compliance. Well, with our hosted offering, our cloud-based collaboration offering, we mitigate that by providing security and compliance capabilities that meet the highest standards. So our offering is based off of Cisco's hosted collaboration with their high security standards as well as our own. We're able to meet just about any security compliance risks that there are out there or concerns there are, but also be able to interact and be interoperable with your existing investments. So I may have an existing, video system or an existing paging system or a recording system. I want to be able to use that. I don't want to throw that investment out. I want to be able to reuse that. We can provide that, but also provide cost-effective deployment options. So being able to deploy on demand, be able to pay for, basically pay for the features you need on a per-user basis and as long as they need those. To be able to give you that predictable cost that a lot of organizations require, but also be able to deliver those tools on demand. So making sure that people get the right tools when they need them and not necessarily having boundaries between IT. So we can provide that through what we call NWN Communications. It's powered by Cisco-hosted collaboration. So what Cisco did was a few years ago, they came out with a way for partners like NWN to provide a hosted collaboration experience from our data centers. It's built up the same best-of-breed technology that Cisco has had for years. The only real difference is that there's a new delivery and a new consumption model. So our clients are consuming it on a monthly basis based off the features that they require and they need, and it's being delivered out of our hosted data centers. So geo-redundant data centers and giving all those services to those people. And we provide your typical unified communications, so that's your voice, your voicemail. You can do customer collaboration. So that's both contact center as well as video conferencing and WebEx conferencing. We can also introduce collaboration endpoints. So really it's a full suite from voice, unified messaging, to video, to WebEx integrations, to web conferencing, also contact center for your call centers out there. But then also maybe taking a few of those offerings and combining them into one. So an example of that would be we have customers that have call centers and they want to have remote experts. So I can actually pick up a video device. It's on one of my branch offices, say it's a bank, and I will enter a question that will get routed to our call center. And through skills-based routing, it'll pick the right person, then you'll establish a video call with that person. or being able to take video and expand it beyond the boundaries to interact with your call center at home, and things like that. So it's a real robust and feature-rich offering that we have. I mentioned this a little bit more. So if you look at it, it's a single architecture with a consistent experience. And if you look back at what Jim was talking about, some of the downfalls that people have is not giving that consistent experience, not using a single platform for their collaboration tools. Our offering provides that as one single cohesive architecture. It's all built off of Cisco. You can buy all of the best-of-breed solutions you need. As I mentioned before, from call control to voice conferencing to collaboration gateway, so be able to collaborate, and be able to call the PSTN network, but also be able to do video collaboration through those gateways seamlessly from any device without a VPN. Have a management platform that allows us to manage it cohesively and as a unit, but also allowing our customers to be able to manage what they need to do. But also doing all the other things from video calling to instant messaging, chat, to IM, to multi-party conferencing, content sharing, all those be done with our solution. So our mission, as Jim highlighted before, is really to give a simple, no-compromise experience in one experience. So to every room, every desk, every pocket, give that same experience. Whether you're looking at a video unit in every room, or you're looking at a desktop video or a desktop, client application, to extending those out to your iPhones, your iPads, your mobile devices, or your tablets, and giving that experience the same way. So it looks the same across all devices, no matter what you're using. And we can do that through our every room strategy, which is really around Cisco's their video endpoints, whether it's room-based video or just single desktop video, like you'll see in every desktop. And it goes from video phones all the way down to your basic 7800 series phone. But then also every pocket is through the Jabber client and WebEx that can fit on just about any device that's out there today. And what we want our customers to do is to cloud with confidence. What does that mean? It's being able to have something that's secure and manageable. It's also scalable and survivable, but it's also giving the latest features. And if you look back at Jim referenced earlier, one of the downfalls of some of the early collaboration adopters, or some of the problems they have, is keeping up with the latest features and be able to give those people not only the applications they need, but the most up-to-date applications. So security and manageable. It's totally secure, and it's managed through a single enterprise portal that we give you. Scalable and survivable. We can scale up to tens of hundreds of thousands of endpoints very quickly and provide that scalability, not only from user count, but also from feature count, to be able to scale up and down that stack, whether they need video or they just need IM presence, but also provide survivability, so local survivability either at your local site or through a hybrid model, or the survivability that we provide through our geo-redundant data centers. And lastly, it's providing the latest features. So being able to, as Cisco comes out with a new video conferencing application or a new feature for their call manager or their Unity platform, by going with the cloud offering, it's our job to upgrade to keep that system up to date. So therefore, we're always giving the latest features to our clients. We also talk about cloud with compromise. So you want something that's enterprise grade, and Cisco has a proven architecture that provides that. It also provides a managed service. So knowing that you have a company like NWN that has over 20 years experience in managed services, but has also been supporting Cisco unified collaboration since its inception back in the late 90s, we're managing that for you. We're providing that back end. We're monitoring and managing it 24-hour a day. It's our job to keep that up and running, but also give a unified user experience. So across these three, it's really not a compromise across the technology that you're going to use, the support you're going to use, but also not compromising with a unified user experience. So again, giving those tools to the people, but also making it kind of a ubiquitous platform that everyone has the same experience, no matter where they are and what device they're using. So why customers use or choose a cloud collaboration? there's many more than 5 points. But one of the biggest things our customers look at is OpEx versus CapEx. So I want to invest in collaboration, but I may not want to put that upfront capital expense in. I want to use it to buy, a new building, or I want to use it to expand my company through acquisition, or I just want to use that capital for other technologies. So right below that, you see focus on strategic technologies. So maybe it's taking that CapEx and using our technologies that are strategic to my business. So it's kind of the focus of, not only the capital and, as far as money, but capital as far as your employees. So there's capital invested in every employee. So how can I use my employees to focus on things that are going to make my company bigger, stronger, faster? How am I going to make those widgets better? You need a phone system, you need a collaboration solution, but you really want to manage and maintain and monitor that. Would you rather have somebody else do that so you can focus on what's key to your business? Or it's rapid deployment. So I can easily expand the solution as I acquire companies. And a lot of people that acquire companies, they're getting a separate PBX or a separate environment. It's not all the same platform all the time. So how do I really, how do I rapidly expand my capabilities? Well, with a cloud solution, it's an order away. We'll then deploy that solution to that new company and integrate it as needed. Or it could be a scale up and down. So I'm going to add a seasonality for 50 users, whatever it might be. Excuse me. Reduced cost is always a big factor. So let's do that TCO and work on those for about every client. So let's look at the total cost of ownership, not only an ROI, but look at the total cost of ownership. So am I going to reduce my cost by going on the cloud? And it's looking at a lot of things besides and maintenance. It's also the cost of people, the cost of data centers, the cost of maintaining, upgrading it, but also then reduce complexity. So I want this great collaboration, but I don't need to add another complex environment to my end users. We have all that for you. It's really just a matter of working with us to come up with the right solution, the right design, making sure we're going to fit your requirements, and then allowing us to provision the capabilities to you. I'm going to run out of time here in a little bit, so I don't want to spend too much time. There's an integrated collaborative experience that our clients get because we're providing those solutions to our clients, but also it's the ability to, what about being able to, deploy and scale solutions? So enabling mobility, bringing about IT. These are just a few of the complex challenges that we see companies facing. How can we reduce that? Can we reduce that through the cloud? And we can, because we can do things like assign applications to employees by role, consolidate and centralize that. So by having that in our data centers, we're taking that off of your hands. It's our job to really maintain and keep that complex or that back-end system up to date. But also, how do you want to fulfill it? How do you want to assure it? How do you want to do acquisition changes? How do you want to do business continuity? We can provide that all for you. But also be able to expand the services quickly to your clients or your customers, add new users quickly, but also add new features on demand. So again, we have that environment already built out, and we can easily and rapidly deploy that to our clients. And then also when we do is reduce costs, is we look at on-premise versus cloud, and typically an on-premise for an investment, additional capital expenditures, and maybe actually adding additional resources to that. But moving forward, it's often hard to predict the incremental CapEx requirements for upgrades, for additions as well. And a lot of people over-provision. So they're going to really over-provision their system to be able to maybe handle peaks in the business. So there's an ebb and flow to every business. So I'm going to over-provision. Well, that's a sunken cost. I can't get that back because I bought those 3,000 licenses when I only really need 2,100. We can provide that. But also uncertain future growth and market conditions make it difficult for people to plan those requirements. So you're not always going to know what's going to happen 2 or 3 years down the road. With our solution, we can very easily adjust the features, but also the environment for you. So we limit your CapEx. We eliminate over-provisioning. It's easy to predict, kind of your costs on a monthly basis as well. Mitigate technology obsolescence, so you're not worried about having to budget those upgrades every year, every 2 years, or every 3 years. But also accelerate your ROI through rapid time to value. So OpEx to do it. So it's a lot easier for us to see time to value because we're not spreading that ROI over many years necessarily. I talked about this earlier. Really, it's really about unlocking the potential. So people collaborate more effectively when they work their own way, when they have right access to all the applications. It allows people to work on a common platform as well, with the same resources. So everyone's speaking the same language, so to speak. But also be able to connect to the rest of the organization as well as customers and partners. So unlocking that potential, but also building in, efficiency and agility, giving yourself a competitive advantage. It's commonly achieved when because they're really allowing their people to collaborate, really work together easily and quickly. They're maybe faster to market, or they're driving innovation because they're sharing common goals, they're sharing common information. To be able to be a little bit more efficient and agile on the back end as well. So what can we do for you? Some of the things that we often provide our partners through collaboration to our customers is really empower the employees to freely collaborate with anyone, anytime, anywhere. And we've talked about that over and over again. Partner with business leaders to transform their organization. So let us work with you to work with the different business units to transform how your organization works. See how the cost and complexity as well, but also you want to stay relevant to the organization. So make sure that your technology is staying relevant. So as your organization changes, making sure your technology and your collaboration platform changes. But also hopefully use the collaboration tools to really gain a competitive advantage throughout your competition. This is my last slide. So we like to talk to our clients, say collaboration in the journey. Really hit home again some of the things that Jim highlighted earlier. Make sure you define your strategy and objective. Make sure your priorities, use cases, and business processes. Design and support the complete strategy. So if you don't gain the influence and the backing of the stakeholders, it's often a hard thing to do to deploy that collaboration. If you talk to Cisco, there's a large stat out there for how many people have actually deployed more than just, they want to, what about video and IM presence chat and web conferencing? A lot of people don't do that, and it's because they're not getting the influence of the stakeholders. They're not getting they're not getting the buy-in from those people. They're not also planning it right. So with that, we're here to partner with you. My contact information includes this. If you guys have any questions about our collaboration offering, our hosted collaboration or cloud-based collaboration offering, please feel free to contact me. And we also have some white papers and other stuff that we'll share at the end as well. So with that, we also have a cloud assessment. So feel free to reach out to ncloud@nwnit.com or visit our website. We have free cloud assessments where we actually use a tool by risk that'll actually look at your environment, tell you maybe some things that you don't know that you're using on the cloud today, because we often find that people really don't know that certain organizations within their company are actually using cloud-based applications. But also it's a great tool to look at what pieces of your organization are fit for the cloud as well. And with that, I'll pass it over to Kelsey for any questions.
Thank you, Greg. We are running a little bit short on time, so I'm going to go ahead and push out a survey URL. Everybody, please, if you have time, we'd really appreciate your feedback on this webinar. And I think we only have time for one question per presenter. So if your question didn't get answered, we will make sure to get back to you. Our first question is for Jim. Jim, what are some new trends that we should expect to see changing collaboration in the near future? Where does voice lie in that?
Yeah, we've talked about some of these things, but I think you're going to see continued, Greg talked a bit about that ability to kind of seamlessly move, get up, leave a meeting, get up, walk to the train type of thing, and be able to continue your collaboration. You're going to see that be more contextual. So it'll actually know where your device and everything will actually just know where you are before you do anything, and you'll get a different kind of environment for as you walk onto the train or as you step into the office. I don't think voice is going away, though it'll be increasingly tied with video. So there'll be more likelihood to do a voice call with video to get that sort of contextual aspect to it, and to bring in that ability to show people things. I think an interesting thing, and Greg again touched a bit on this, is you're going to see things get more open. Just as people expect things to be mobile, they expect to have access anytime, anywhere, any device. They're going to want that in anything that they use. So you're going to see a lot of the sort of siloedness of communication go away. Hopefully, that you'll be able to use the software, use the mobile apps, use the tools that you expect to use, and be able to fully collaborate without having to say, well, I can only collaborate if I'm using this collaboration client, or I'm only using this IM tool or this web conferencing tool. So I think you're gonna see more of those type of changes, and just more of like a open, seamless environment for collaboration.
Great, thank you, Jim. And our final question is for Greg. Greg, how do you ensure customers' demands are met? What is the change management process, and how do you keep up with customers' ever-changing demands?
Well, there's two sides to that. One is, really, change management based off of, the managed services aspect. We have a 24-hour service desk that we use for our monitoring and management of the entire system, and within that, we have our own change management process for add moves and changes. We also work with our clients who are deploying it, or as the lifetime goes on, to make sure that the people are getting the right tools, or they're actually, we're doing something with our system that doesn't take anything offline. So change management for a client typically will follow their change management process. If they don't have one, we put ours in place. But also on the back end, we follow a very rigid change management process, because the last thing we want is our cloud-based solution going down in the middle of the afternoon on a client. So everything is fully vetted, tested, and then implemented prior to doing anything in production for our clients.
All right, thank you so much. And thanks also to Jim and our sponsor, NWN, and thanks to our presenters. Thanks to our audience for your participation. Thanks also to our presenters for sharing your research, insights, and recommendations. I hope you have a great rest of the day, and yes, everybody enjoy. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.